So, one of the primary attacks against capitalism is that it creates these two classes between rich and poor, and it creates a gap between the rich and poor. So, this is what I'm going to be talking about in this video. And if you're wondering why did Prithvi start talking about capitalism all of a sudden, because when you go out to make money, it's very important for you to get rid of your shame and guilt associated with money and success. And a lot of the guilt and shame comes from narratives that disempower you or slander capitalism. And this can create inhibition in you when you're making the phone calls. You may or if you're asking for money, if you're raising capital, you may start to feel like you're a bad person. And I know it sounds a little bit strange. Why would you feel that? If you don't feel that, well, then great. But there are a lot of people who may have this inhibition. Is business evil? Is pursuit of money evil? Is capitalism evil? Are the problems in the world because of capitalism? And if that is so, why would I be part of it? Am I doing the right thing? All the good people in the world, they kind of self-regulate, they reflect, and they think about if the set of actions that they are taking, are they in the right direction or not? So it's very important. It was very important for me to understand capitalism, because that's what I would be associating myself with. And if you are somebody who's thinking about getting into business, you may have these questions also, which tend to be more moral, ethical, or philosophical in nature, that you would want to measure the implications of your actions, long term implications. Are you doing good or are you doing bad and harming the people and harming society? So, this was the reason why I created this series, to make sure that I address every single attack that's against capitalism, so that you understand what the long term implications are. And there's nothing wrong about making money, and there's nothing wrong about being a capitalist, because capitalists are slandered in court, capitalists are slandered within a family. If you're successful, there's a lot of jealousy and people attack you. And capitalists are slandered by all the environmentalists and all the people who don't have money. So it was very important for me to come out there and empower you with the arguments, so that you can defend yourself, and you can defend capitalism, because the alternate, communism, is a horror show. So, and it's actually based on the principle of equality, believe it or not. So, communism is based on a principle of equality. And when communist revolution happens, believe it or not, all the countries that are communist right now, including North Korea, was at a point capitalistic. So, how did this become into a totalitarian state? What happened there? And one of the primary attacks when the communist revolution happens is they start attacking the gap between the rich and the poor. And then they compare, and then they say, they blame capitalism for it, that this is the reason why there is such a status hierarchy, and this is wrong. And the gap between rich and poor is too much, and we need to level this out. So to level this out, we're going to take everything from everybody, and then we're going to redistribute it equally. And the capitalists are like, but not everybody put in the effort to create what I have and what I own. Why? How can you just take away what I built over my life to redistribute it? It's like somebody taking your BMW, selling it in the market, and providing 10 below average cars to 10 different people, including yourself, because you have a BMW. How dare you have a BMW when people don't have food to eat, or people are walking on the streets? You're not allowed to have a BMW. We're going to sell it. We're going to redistribute it. That's how it starts. The communist revolution is by attacking, making an attack on the gap between rich and poor. And it's very easy to gather a crowd on that premise. So the premise is equality. So this is what I'm going to talk about in this video. And I'd start by quoting Warren Buffett in one of his interviews when he was asked, who's winning in current economy? There was an interviewer, very recent interview. He said, and he was asked, who's winning in the current economy? And Warren Buffett says, the rich. And he said, and the interviewer said, that don't you think the gap between the rich and poor is bigger than ever? And he said, sure, it is. He didn't deny it. He said, it is. And she said, don't you think that's a problem? And he said, no, because he said during his time, when he was young, the richest guy was John D. Rockefeller. And he said that what an average person has today through technology, through the kind of access and through the kind of lifestyle that we have these days with all of the technological revolution, he said that an average person has a better lifestyle than what John D. Rockefeller had in my time. Because even though there are only 24 hours in the day still, what every hour can produce for you in terms of experience and the kind of access that you have, even the richest guy in the world didn't have at that time, vis-a-vis the technology and all the access that we have. I mean, things just come at home these days with food delivery and a whole bunch of stuff that has come up. So that's something to think about. Has the lifestyle gotten better? The answer is yes. Now, I understand that there is a mental health epidemic. Everybody's on their phones, and maybe we'll find a solution for that. But overall, lifestyle has gone up. Opportunities are everywhere to make money. You can make money from your home now. That wasn't a possibility before. You could be a social media influencer and get access to one of the most powerful technologies, media, through your phone. Cameras weren't there in the phone. So there's more opportunities than ever, even though there's a gap between rich and poor. And the cost of starting a company has reduced dramatically. And the proof of that is Mark Zuckerberg, who started Facebook with, I think, about $1,500, which was, I think he sold 30% of the company for that. So, and I was just watching Social Network yesterday. So, just as a case study. So, so the cost of getting into business is reduced. Opportunities have increased. There's an explosion of opportunity right now, more than it ever has been. And making money has gotten easier and easier. And producing goods and services has gotten easier and easier. And this has happened through technological revolution. And yes, the gap between the rich and poor has increased. But so what? The purpose of capitalism was not equality. How can you have equality? Look at, let's take an example. Some ideas sound really good on paper or in conversation, but if you run the implications, they're not good at all. And equality is one of them. And I don't mean equal rights. Rights should be equal, but equal outcomes. I'm talking about equal outcomes, which is different from, equal rights. So I'm for equal rights, but equal outcomes, how can you have that? I mean, that's to say that you don't have to be as good as Cristiano Ronaldo in football and you'll still get the cup. Or you don't have to be as fast as Usain Bolt or Michael Phelps and you still deserve a gold. So then why would he push himself? There is no incentive. So you have, in capitalism, you're rewarded for your capability, your level of production, and your ability to distribute what you produced. That's what you get paid for. So not everybody has the same amount of capability. Not everybody has the same amount of production. And even if they do produce, not everybody has the same level of distribution. Why? Because not everybody has understood the market as well as some people have. And you can look at this through Andrew Tate, who's gotten so famous because he's understood something. Would you say that everybody has understood what he has understood? No. So not everybody can have what he has. So you can't have equal outcomes. You can have the equal opportunity and equal rights, but you can't have equal outcomes. What communism argues is that no, it doesn't matter how much production somebody has, how much somebody has worked. It doesn't matter what they have done. No matter what happens, everybody gets the same. Everybody gets the same stuff. Then why would anybody push themselves, take risk their lives at many times, risk their finances, and put themselves, and put any effort to do anything? If you make the outcome, the net result same for everybody, then there is no skin in the game. There is no incentive, and there is no greatness. Because nobody can have helicopters then. Because how can you have a helicopter? Instead of that, we're going to distribute 1,000 cars to 1,000 different people. We're going to take your helicopter, sell it, and buy average 1,000 cars and distribute that. So what will happen to the helicopter market? It won't exist. What would happen to the aircraft market? It won't exist. And everything extraordinary would not exist, because the argument is what can't be had by everybody can't be had by anybody. That's the communist argument. So the goal of capitalism was not to produce equal outcomes for everybody. It was to create abundance. And if you produce in a big way and distribute in a big way and understand the market better than anybody, and you're competitive, then you get to have an exponential result and exponential wealth. And that opportunity is there. And that opportunity is there for everybody. And there was a famous hearing of Starbucks founder where the court system were attacking him and saying that you're a billionaire, why do you have to have so much money? That's a communist argument. It's happening in the USA, but that argument is communist. That why do you need, $1 billion? Like, why should you have the ability to have $1 billion? He said, this whole thing that I'm a billionaire and I have $1 billion, nobody gave me the $1 billion. I earned it. I created value. I found a way to mass produce something and mass distribute something. And nobody gave it to me. And I come from a very humble background. Our family had nothing. And he explained how he grew up and everything. And a guy from that background can become a billionaire in a capitalist society if he produces and if he distributes it at appropriate levels. And not everybody wants to produce at that level. Not everybody, even though they may say they want to be a billionaire, not everybody really wants to be a billionaire. Let's face it, not everybody wants to be a Formula One race car driver, and not everybody wants to be a footballer like Cristiano Ronaldo. In one interview, I think he said, I will give you the map, to become as good of a footballer as I am. Would you do it? Do you have the discipline to do it? No, because not everybody loves football like him, and not everybody is as driven as him. And it's not going to happen. Equal outcomes is not going to happen because everybody's capability is different, inclination is different, value system is different, and that's what makes this actually a beautiful thing, that we have differences, that everybody is unique. Everybody has a unique combination of skills, abilities, capabilities, and inclination. And not everybody has to be rich, but those who do can, if you're willing to pay the price, if you're willing to produce at appropriate levels. And I've seen this with a guy who was worth 500 million pounds that I personally met. And he was one of the richest Indian refugees living in the UK. He was worth 500 million pounds. And he grew up in refugee camps. He didn't even have schooling. and he was able to raise money, buy a car part, I think a car part shop at a very young age. He started working for somebody, and then he got a loan, small loan from a bank, some borrowed money from family, and then he acquired this small car part showroom, and he expanded, and he kept buying companies and kept opening shops, and there was a lot of demand at the time. And he's now worth 500 million pounds. He created a big group, which was he exited. He sold it to a big private equity firm. He made, I think, about 250 to 300 million dollars or pounds. And then he moved that money to a private equity firm. And then he's now buys hotels. So, and he's a capitalist. So he had nothing, and out of nothing, he created something, because money can be raised and knowledge can be obtained in a capitalist society, because there's abundance of everything. If you have the inclination, if you have the capability, if you're willing to develop the capability, and if you're willing to push yourself, you can have whatever you want. That's the promise of capitalism. So all the people that complain that they don't have enough and enough wasn't given to them, nothing is given in capitalist society. You have to go out there and you have to earn it. And the opportunity is there. The systems are in place. The incentives are in place. And that's all you need, you know, fair play. So that's my view on this issue of the gap between the rich and poor. And I'd like to read out a post that I saw on LinkedIn, which really summarizes capitalism. And it's incredible because it's a post written on private jet. Okay. So here it is. A guy looked at my airplane the other day and said, I wonder how many people I could have fed for the price of that airplane. Very communist argument. So a guy looked at my airplane the other day and said, I wonder how many people I could have fed for the price of that airplane. I replied, I'm not sure. It fed a lot of families at the Dassault factory where it was built. I'm sure it fed a bunch of families that rolled the aluminium at the Alcoa factory. It surely fed a lot of people at the Honeywell factory where the experts built the turbines. It fed a whole company for a few weeks when I had them build me a new interior. It feeds the family of the linen linemen that fuel it. And that's the difference between capitalism and a welfare mentality. When you buy something, you put money in people's pockets and give them dignity for their skills. When you give someone something for nothing, you rob them of their dignity and self-worth. Capitalism is freely giving your money in exchange for something of value. Socialism is taking your money against your will and shoving something down your throat that you never asked for. So that's just a quote. I don't agree with the last line, but the whole post communicates that just because you have a $50 million jet doesn't mean that you took away 50 million out of the society. In fact, you added to so many businesses and you supported the business. And if there was no demand for private jets, many jobs would have collapsed. So that's capitalism. And I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked the video, hit that subscribe button and I'll talk to you soon.